They talked about how some of your ministers were venting to Commissioner Costa. How's that different from what Stuart Nash was doing?
I found that there was no improper political pressure exerted on the Police Commissioner. There's been an independent report now that's verified that. The Speaker, that was ultimately a meeting of the Speaker. There were some ministers who were in the room at the time, but it was ultimately the Speaker's instigation, that meeting. He is the occupier of Parliament, so he is the legal occupier, or was the legal occupier of Parliament. So it's appropriate, if you've got someone setting up camp on your front lawn, it's appropriate for the person concerned, or the entity concerned, to be communicating with the police about that.
And the Parliamentary Service deleted some of the footage that could have been used in this IPCA investigation. Are you concerned that they did that?
I haven't had a chance to have a look at that, but obviously, I'd expect them to have, to be pretty careful around those sorts of things.
What actions will the government be taking in response to the IPCA report?
We will consider it fully. Obviously, the IPCA report has highlighted some concerns that the police have around issues where there are these sort of public disorder events. I believe the report refers to them as. We have to tread carefully in that area, though. The case law around this, and I was one of the people involved in the establishment of some of the current case law around protest, has been established over a long period of time, and I think before we did anything to unwind any of that, we'd want to just tread very, very carefully. The right to protest is pretty fundamental in a democracy. That doesn't mean we should agree with it. I think everyone would agree that the parliamentary protest, particularly towards the end, stepped well and truly outside the bounds of what would be acceptable forms of protest. When you've got protesters hurling bricks at police and so on, that's utterly unacceptable. But we just need to be careful that we don't upset the balance and therefore prevent people being able to exercise their democratic right, and that includes to protest.
You found that the laws are lacking around mass arrest. Is that something you'll look to change urgently?
I think again it's an area where we have to tread with caution. I think the idea that people can be arrested en masse at a protest is something that I think we should take some time to consider. As someone who was arrested en masse at a protest once, where the courts then determined that that was an unlawful arrest, I think that highlights the fact that we need to be careful.
Is there scope to increase police funding to ensure they're better resourced?
This government has significantly increased police resourcing in the time we've been in office. We're on track to hit our goal by the middle of this year of having 1,800 extra police on the beat. And that sits alongside a significant investment in the resources that support those police, including improving their communications network, including a significant investment rolling out at the moment in training for frontline police, because it's not just about having the people, it's also about making sure that they're up to date with their training so that they can do the job as effectively as possible.
Should they have done more to prevent the occupation in the first place?
Look, one of the reasons that we have a review process, and the IPCA have looked at this thoroughly, is so that they can capture the lessons learned, and I'm confident that they've done that.
Was Trevor Mallard right to use music and sprinklers on the protesters at Parliament?
Ultimately, it's happened, it's in the past. People can form their own judgments over whether that was the right approach or not. Clearly the IPCA have made some observations about that. Ultimately now it's a matter for the public to judge. There's not a lot that we can do going backwards now, we've got to look forwards.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. To stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald, click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here, and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.